This is a story of trials and tribulations. This is a story of resilience and perseverance. This is the story of cow 182. So a few months ago, this is cow 182 was looking. She was a shackled cow because she'd done the splits. These chains were holding her legs together to prevent her from being a downer cow and really hurting herself and possibly becoming paralysed. But things were much more serious than just the chains on her back legs. Her back left foot had 4 different problems all going on at the same time, and each one was a serious problem. She had this problem here with the heel part of her foot, this problem here towards the toe, and this one right up the side. This is us trimming her a few months ago, and as you can see, the extent of the damage was severe. We did everything we could, but weren't totally sure how much difference we would make. Obviously, she did get a block, and when we moved on to the back right foot, she also had a problem over there. Trimming her during that first visit felt disheartening because she had so many problems coupled with those chains, and this is how she was walking after the trim. There wasn't a huge improvement. We've actually visited her twice since then though, and on both occasions she's been walking slightly better. This is the second visit. She still had some serious problems, and actually she hadn't made all that much improvement. But this is how she was looking during her last visit. And actually the shackles had split in two, so we cut them off and threw them to the side in a heap. Here she is walking after then. Not quite right, but far better than she was during her first visit. And now she's back in again. So let's see how she's looking today, because I think you're gonna be surprised. So this is the foot that wasn't all that badly affected. If you remember, she did have a problem. Here's exactly what was happening back then. And this is today. Clearly we've not started trimming her yet, but we can all see that there is definite improvement. But looks can be deceiving, so we won't truly know until we've given it a wash off and gone at it with the grinder. So as we wash this first foot off, I think to myself, well, we've got the hose in our hand right now, we might as well give the second foot a wash as well, so we can all clearly see what's happening. Right, grinder time. So as we grab the grinder, we bring balance back to the medial claw, this inside one, before moving on to the lateral or outside claw, where we take down the whole entire height of the sole using the grinder. We're basically trying to replicate the size, shape and height of this inner claw before taking down the toes to the correct length. And back the grinder goes. Right, knife time. Again, I'm just going to use that mixing tip just so that I can completely separate the 2 digits. You can actually see some bruising in here, look. So she was definitely needing this trim. That yellowness as well tells us that there has been bruising in the past, which is dissipating. Look, you can clearly see if we look close in and actually darken the rest of the screen and lighten this part, you'll see there's a dark spot right there. That is the beginnings of a bruising. The beginnings of a bruising. Because that makes sense, Graham. It's the early stages of bruising. You see, as we go deeper, we can see the bruises coming through more prominently. I'm going to take this as wide as we can and remove a little bit from here because she's not really going to use that. Get this nice and deep in to give her as much relief as possible before moving on to this foot, where we do a steeper, less wide model. If you can see, this medial claw is actually slightly narrower, so we need her to have plenty of walking surface. When a cow stands still, she puts most of her weight on here, and when she's walking, this is the foot that takes the brunt of the force. Look at that. Almost perfect. Just take that down a little bit actually. Lovely. So this is how she was looking during that first visit on this foot. Not a colossal problem, but definitely a problem. And this is how she's looking today. Almost perfect. Right, onto the main foot. This could be a different story. So if we come down to this angle, you can see that outer claw is quite substantially higher than the inner claw. Here is where the main problem was last time, and it extended all the way up the frontal or dorsal wall of this foot, and it looks like it could still be problematic. The first order of the day though is to reduce the height of the overall claw. So taking the grinder here, I shaved down layer by layer by layer of hoof form from this lateral claw. I need to make sure both claws are the same height so that the weight is spread across the entirety of her foot as equally as possible. Right, modelling out. You're always kind of doing this with bated breath, as they say. Almost holding your breath, hoping that you don't find something that you're not expecting. This foot is definitely looking good, but that outer part, the part in the white line that caused the major issue, by the way, that's a calf in the background, not a sheep, although it does sound like a sheep. Yeah, you're never quite sure how perfect this is until you get the knife on the job. Code brown. Actually, it's more of a greeny colour. Either way, it smells delightful. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Let's move on to this part. So this is zone 2 of a cow's foot. This is the dorsal wall, and the white line runs all the way around here. This has been an infection in the white line that has burst out the top, and look, you can see it all flaking away now. This could definitely still be a live issue. What I'm attempting to do here is risky business. Make no mistake about it. This wall horn is only around 6 or 7 millimeters thick, and the grinding disc that I'm using is incredibly aggressive. It's actually the most aggressive trimming disc you can purchase on the market today. So one false move and he'll undo all of the goodness that we've managed to achieve. I'm holding my breath and praying she doesn't flinch. Look at that. Not that. I'm to you. And there you go, a few words from Graham. Here is what it looked like before. A gouge right up the outside of this wall. It cut right into the heart of her foot, into the lamina corium. We trimmed everything we possibly could from this lesion, and we concentrated on the very top of it because that is where it emanates from, and if you don't heal that part, you've literally got no hope of healing any of it properly anyway. Anyway, that is how it was looking then, and this is how it's looking now. Look at that. I am so chuffed for this cow. So you could say that it's 100% healed, but actually you'd be slightly wrong. On the inside of her foot, the bone will now have callusations on it, little bony spurs that stick out into the corium of her foot. So unfortunately for this cow, yes, we have completely healed her, but she's actually much more likely to go lame now than any other cow on this farm.
So this isn't anything here, is it?
That's a genuine question. As I was getting up there, Craig rubbed the side of her foot. And he's quite right, he always checks with me. Craig's a fantastic trimmer, but he's constantly checking with me just to see if I agree with what his thoughts are. He thought this could be a problem. It's not. This is literally, look, get a knife, Craig, and just scratch it off. Look, just scratch it off, don't cut.
Oh yeah, it's coming to absolutely nothing.
See that?
It's like a little bit of shedding.
Yeah, it's just shedding away. Because this problem was down here, the whole foot is trying to kind of shed away because of this, and she's drying out because she's outside now as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's totally superficial.
Cool.
Good job asking though. Right, for now though, this is good. Let's get her foot back down on the ground and see how she's looking today. Remember, this is how she looked during the first visit. Not fantastic. But this is how she's looking today. So as she walks away here, we can all see she's put a bit of weight on from that first visit. She's definitely not in show cow condition, but she is far more comfortable than she was a couple of months ago. Gone are those shackles, gone are those problems in her feet, gone are the blocks, and gone is the pain. All this girlie wants to do is eat her way to happiness now. Just like us all. Thanks for watching this very happy episode of the Hoof GP. Catch you later, folks. Bye.